ethical concerns have to do with a moral conflict. That means there are lot of times where in a situation we face moral conflict as to how and what our next action should be. Jaise, whenever we talk about an organization, because we are discussing about public and private institutions, so we are talking about organizations. In every organization, there are some specific, you can say, problems or concerns that may occur, which challenges or which contradicts which contradicts the ethical and moral values. And you being a part of that organization may come across such situations. Like, if you remember, we did discuss certain examples for it, और वो examples हमने देखा था in the form of things like sexual harassment, or for that matter corruption, etc. So in an organization, because tomorrow you are going to be a part of the bureaucracy, so in such organizations it may so happen that you face such specific situations where you have to choose between what is right versus what is wrong. This situation is what we call as a moral conflict, where you have to make a decision where you choose either to do what? Whether you choose either to accept a bribe or not to accept a bribe. Choice hai. But that choice that we are talking about, it is a moral conflict. एक moral conflict है, it's a concern which may arise. और इसके काफी examples, whether it is about sexual harassment, corruption, etc. we did discuss it in the last class as well. इसके अलावा हमने term ethical dilemma भी discuss किया था. Now when I say ethical dilemma, it's very different from the term ethical concern, because ethical concerns is about what? A choice between right versus wrong. It involves a moral conflict, but it is a choice between right versus wrong. Like if we talk about cases of sexual harassment, so we know what is the right behavior and what is the wrong behavior. We did discuss about the Me Too movement also, अगर आपको याद है, Me Too movement पे भी हमने discussion किया था. So the choice is always between right versus wrong. But when it comes to ethical dilemmas does not involve a choice between right versus wrong. Rather, it involves a choice between either right versus right or wrong versus wrong. That means whenever we talk about an ethical dilemma, there are three important aspects of this dilemma that you need to understand. First of all, an ethical dilemma will always involve a choice. That means you have to make a decision. You cannot simply ignore the situation by not making a decision. So it is compulsory for you to make a choice. That's one aspect, that is one feature of this very dilemma. Secondly, the choice is always between competing values. The choice is always between competing values. जैसे right versus right, two rights. Like if you have to choose between, if you remember, environment versus डेवलपमेंट, हमने एक एग्जांपल देखा था, एनवायरमेंट वर्सेस डेवलपमेंट, both of these are right. If you choose to safeguard the environment, that's a correct decision. If you choose to take up or choose development, that is also the right value. But because it involves competing between two values, you have to make a choice. And thirdly, because you are making a choice between competing values, there will always be what? A compromise. There will always be a compromise. If you choose one right over the other, you are compromising on the right that you have not chosen for. If you are choosing one wrong over the other, you are choosing certain disvalues which are present in one decision that you have made of that very wrong over the other. If you remember, we had also talked about the fact that if suppose you get a choice where you have to choose between either going for torture of a certain individual versus compromising on national security. So it involves a choice. If you compromise on national security, that is also a compromise. If you go for torture, that may also be a compromise because it may be against a law. So either you choose between two rights or you choose between two wrongs. In both these cases, you are compromising on a certain value. Yani, what is a moral dilemma? Moral dilemma or an ethical dilemma is when this is a situation that has arisen. क्या है? पहली बात, आपके पास एक ऐसा सिचुएशन है जहां पर चॉइस करना, मेकिंग अ चॉइस, मेकिंग अ डिसीजन is compulsory. You cannot avoid it. Secondly, moral dilemma is also where you have to choose between two important or competing values. Thirdly, you have to, when you make that choice, you are compromising on certain values. There is a compromise that is involved. Okay? Whenever we talk about an ethical or an ethical dilemma, there is never a situation where you are completely at peace or completely happy with the decision that you are likely to make. ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा. Because if you choose one right, you will always try and scrutinize your decision, maybe judging it on the basis of the second right. कि अगर मैंने environment choose किया, then is it right to choose environment over development? If you choose development, you will always scrutinize your decision on the basis of the second value that you have compromised with. Which means there is never a situation in an ethical dilemma where you solve the ethical dilemma and you are at peace with your decision. That is never going to happen. If you remember, एक term हमने use किया था dissonance का, जब हम attitude topic पढ़ते थे. So we had used a term called as dissonance, where I had said that this is a state of uneasiness. That means we are not very comfortable with the decisions that we have made. So what state of dissonance will always be the consequence of any ethical dilemma that you have? No, whenever you are in such a situation, that will always be the case. और हमने इसमें भी कुछ examples दिए थे. Like we had specifically discussed the very concept of life versus choice, if you remember. ठीक है?